Season 15, finally. Yes.
Wait a minute. You're not Noah.
Duh.
Where's Noah?
Hello, and welcome back to The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment news show. I'm your host, Parker Carlson.
And I'm Abby Perrey. Wait, okay, so Noah graduated.
Yes, he did, with a dual major in knitting and country music, surprisingly, with a focus on Luke Bryan. Didn't you eat him last season or something like that?
Wait, what?
I guess Anastasia still has some explaining to do. But that's all in the past because it's a brand new season.
Wait, no, I'm not done with these questions.
Okay, fine.
So you're not going to let me turn you into a unicorn? Because that was probably one of our most substantial episodes.
No unicorn horns this season.
Okay, well, can I bully you like I bullied Noah? Because I liked that.
Nah, no.
Okay, I think we're gonna have to set some ground rules. How about like a real deal roommate agreement?
You know what? I'm already on it.
Get along.
So while our lawyers review this contract, let's hear from Nate about the streaming wars. Here's our first segment from Nate Richard.
It's hard to imagine Netflix without shows like Friends and The Office, but in a little over a year, those two once presumed staples will be wiped off the streaming service and be sent to HBO Max and NBC Universal's Untitled streaming service. You see, there was a point, like just 2 years ago, where Hollywood wasn't in with the times that streaming services were taking over. That a lot of potential audience members are much more comfortable to stay at home and watch the latest blockbusters starring Will Smith or Brad Pitt. Flash forward to September 2019, and we're just a little over 2 months away from Disney Plus, Disney's latest new streaming service that will only cost $7.99 a month. We're almost 2 months away from Apple's self-proclaimed innovative Apple TV Plus that will cost $5 a month. And we're about 7 months away from Warner Brothers' HBO Max, which will cost a whopping $14.99 a month. Wow, what a steal. And NBC's Universal's still Untitled streaming service that will be free and ad-supported, but it will only allow you access if you have cable. Yeah, you know the thing that people are getting rid of in favor of streaming services? Smart thinking. But let's not forget all the other streaming services out and about already, like Amazon Prime Video, Hulu, CBS All Access, Shudder, DC Universe, YouTube Premium, HBO Now, even Walmart. Yes, that Walmart, once in the streaming service game. All of these streaming shows are basically building up to a bubble that's just getting bigger and bigger. That's just going to pop. It's impossible for all these streaming services to succeed during this so-called streaming service wars. And there's going to be some casualties. And no, Netflix is not one of them just because they canceled your favorite show about Tony Danza being a cop that's, I guess, good at his job. Some of these streaming services are already doomed to fail from the moment that they're announced, and others were already juggernauts from the very minute they were announced. Disney Plus. We know what's going to happen, and it's the fact that we're soon going to be having to pay those same high monthly fees that we once did for cable. At least some of the companies are actually being smart and aren't going to even try. Viacom has already had a deal with Netflix, and Sony isn't really interested outside their free-to-use ad-supported Crackle. The key to winning this streaming war is to have that established brand that can draw people in, and honestly, Disney Plus is the winner in that regard, with shows actually set in the MCU, such as Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision, the first ever live-action Star Wars show, The Mandalorian, and yes, a Ewan McGregor-led Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show. Plus, they're releasing theatrical quality mid-budget films to the service, such as the live-action remake of Lady and the Tramp, an Anna Kendrick Bill Hader Christmas movie called Noel, and a Home Alone reboot. For now, I think the only safe bets in these streaming wars are Netflix, Disney Plus, and Amazon Prime Video. At this point, I don't even know if Hulu is safe or not. I guess now that they're partly owned by Disney, if HBO Max really wants to be big, why is the price so high? If NBC Universal wants to be the talk of the town, why would you need cable to be able to subscribe to it? And what is Apple really banking on with their streaming service? Star power? The fact that they're Apple? It's insane the amount of streaming services we're getting, and honestly, I'm curious to see where it all goes. And that's all I have for now. Till next time, I'm Nate Richard.
Thank you, Nate. That's going to be hard for anyone to follow up on for the rest of the year.
So, according to Chapter 4, subsection 6, Chapter 69 and paragraph 25,
Okay.
it says here that I state your name, that's me, Parker Carlson, am not allowed to yell at Abby no matter how many times she pokes me with a unicorn.
That sounds about right.
This is ridiculous. Did Noah actually agree to this?
He did, and he promptly broke the contract and now owes me a specific amount of money, but I don't know how much. Probably more than the prize money for that romance show that those desperate singles on a beach that Noah left for.
Noah went to Bachelor in Paradise?
No, he actually just went to a beach by himself. Said he needed some space to write his novella about crocheting.
Are you just making this all up?
Yeah, he really just lives under the table. I feed him Chick-fil-A scraps. Not a bad deal, honestly, though.
Oh, hey Noah. Sorry you couldn't get into Bachelor in Paradise.
He tried. But I know someone who's got all the tea on Bachelor in Paradise. Mackenzie's here with all you need to know about Bachelor in Paradise.
Hey y'all, we're back with some more Bachelor drama. I know you couldn't wait for it. Tonight is actually the final episode of this season of Bachelor in Paradise that will air, which means this is my last chance to give you all a small synopsis if you want to tune in for the finale. If you're not familiar, Bachelor in Paradise is a spin-off from the franchise shows The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. It basically just takes all the rejects from both shows and tosses them on a beautiful beach together in Mexico, where then they try to find love. This season has surely been one of drama, tears, and tension. The season started off with a bang as the franchise's first LGBTQ+ member, Demi Burnett, started a conversation by coming to Paradise despite having a casual girlfriend at home. Though no contestant has ever admitted to doing this in the past, Demi was very open about her situation. After a short-lived romance with Derek Peth, Chris Harrison decided to bring Demi's girlfriend, Kristen Haggerty, to the beach to pursue Demi. This caused a little bit of controversy as someone from outside of Bachelor Nation has never actually been brought to the beach before. I personally think it's an awesome and progressive addition because honestly, the same people just passing each other around does in fact get old sometimes. There was a lot of drama that started as well by cast member Blake Horseman. Blake seemed to be quite familiar with a portion of the female cast members before the show started filming. So when they all got to the beach where things were, well, awkward to say the least, with more than 3 girls making up Blake's love pentagon, things were dicey for a minute. He tried to pursue Hannah G once on the beach though, and she decided to pick Dylan instead, thank God. Dean also came back this season with more shenanigans up his sleeve. He pursued a relationship with Kaylin Miller-Keys from Colton season before dumping her on her birthday. You heard that right. Him and his now iconic mustache gave Kaylin his rose and then proceeded to self-eliminate, all on her birthday. He later returns to Paradise to ask Kaylin to leave with him and try a relationship at home, even though he lives in a van. And Kaylin does leave with him, so maybe this will be the last time Dean mixes things up for us. Who knows? There is a bunch of overly forced drama, though, this season. Derek and John Paul Jones get into it a few times over Tayshia, but it's honestly not worth watching, in my opinion. I skipped through it all, and I believe I saved myself some sanity by doing so. There will be some strong couples, I think, leaving this season, though. Hannah G and Dylan might as well be married, honestly. I have hope for Chris and Katie, and I think Dean might actually put aside his flighty tendencies and give him and Kaylin a real shot. But with Bachelor Nation, you never really know. Let's just hope Peter isn't announced the Bachelor tonight. Seriously. That's all for now, y'all, and thanks for listening. Until next time, I'm Mackenzie Diggs.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Now I've got to add that show to my daily rotation with The Real Housewives of New York.
Okay. Title 17, subsection 2, chapter 5, paragraph 1. Paragraph 1! Parker, it specifically states no Housewives of New York talk, okay?
Great. I've already broken the agreement. How much do I owe you?
Don't worry, you get 3 strikes.
All right, I'll have to study this up while we're gone for break.
This is the one I was talking about.
When I lost her, I lost sight of any landmark that might have led me someplace happier.
You're the boy, aren't you? The boy whose mother was killed.
Brings you in today?
I have a hard time focusing.
You get enough sleep every night?
Drinks on me for this side of the room. How much is enough?
6 to 8 hours.
Oh, way more than that. I had a friend. She was prescribed Adderall, and now she's very alert.
You know, some people abuse Adderall.
What?
Let's get you healthy. I want you to try losing 55 pounds.
That's the weight of a Siberian Husky. You want me to pull a medium-sized working dog?
These Wall Street guys. You see what they did to this country? They stole from everybody. Hardworking people lost everything. And not one of these douchebags went to jail.
The game is rigged, and it does not reward people who play by the rules.
It's like robbing a bank, except you get the keys. Are you in?
These are my coworkers.
Jobs, please.
What if somebody calls the cops?
And says what?
You ever heard of Brockhampton?
No, but I think I stayed there once.
Oh, Parker, no.
Oh, he's that strapping young man who does the hippie hops.
Oh my God, Parker, they're a group.
So he's not like my favorite solo artist, In Sync?
How old are you?
I'm 20.
You're an old man. That's what you are, Parker, okay? Maybe Noah Bush can tell you more about Brockhampton, and you can try joining this generation? Noah?
Brockhampton has stated that they are the hardest working boy band in show business, and with their 5th album in 3 years, it's safe to say that this title is appropriate. On August 23rd, America's favorite boy band, Brockhampton, released their 5th album, and it's all I've been listening to. May 2018 saw the departure of Amir Van, one of the group's founding members, which led to their withdrawal from Bonnaroo 2018 and a cancellation of a dozen shows. Many fans thought this would be the end to the group, but then later that summer they released the 1990 singles and Iridescence in late September of 2018. After their festival tour this summer with stops at the Governor's Ball and Bonnaroo, on July 18th, Brockhampton uploaded a teaser officially announcing the album release to be in late August. On July 31st, the group released the first single off the record titled I've Been Born Again, along with the accompanying music video. The following singles, If You Pray Right and Boy Bye, were released August 7th and 14th respectively, along with their music videos. Additionally, on August 14th, Brockhampton Twitter posted the release date of the album to be August 23rd, accompanied by the cover art and track listing. On August 21st, the group released this last single, No Halo, with an accompanying music video. Then on August 26th, the group announced their Heaven Belongs to You tour, which begins on October 26th in Vancouver. The album opens up with the introspective No Halo. The group reflects on everything from mental health, drug abuse, and loss of religion. This 4th single features singer Deb Never, a close friend of members Matt Champion and Bareface. The song Dearly Departed addresses the departure of Amir Van and features 4 of the 6 vocalists, each with their own reaction to the leave of their friend. My favorite was Boy Bye, which was the 3rd single, and never has a song become my favorite faster than this one. Don McLennan opens the song with his take on his mental health, and Matt Champion and Merlin Wood share the chorus with Bareface finishing on the 4th verse. I could talk all day about this album, I love it so much. I recommend this album to any hip-hop head out there, especially if you like Am I, Odd Future, or Kids See Ghosts. The group doesn't plan on making music together forever, so I suggest hopping on the fan train while you can, because Brockhampton is a group you're going to have to see live. For Brockhampton fans everywhere, I'm Noah Bush.
Thank you, Noah, for that great segment.
Okay, so I've scheduled an appointment to go to a notary for our agreement.
Oh, okay. I might be able to squeeze that in between getting my eyebrows did and water aerobics.
Oh, did you just say did?
No. I said I was going to the Toronto International Film Festival.
I guess I misheard you. Didn't Anastasia go to that too?
As a matter of fact, she didn't, but she's got the scoop with some of the hottest films. Anastasia?
The Toronto International Film Festival, or TIFF, is over, and while it often seems as if the movies shown at film festivals are only indie films that will quietly find their way onto a streaming site 2 years from now, there are some highly anticipated films at the festival. There's been some great reviews and some not so great, so let's get into some of them. To start off, The Joker. The Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix, has set social media ablaze after the images of Phoenix in his Joker garb hit the internet. The movie follows Arthur Fleck, played by Phoenix, as he goes from social outcast to a full-blown domestic terrorist. There was some apprehension surrounding this film, specifically with the oversaturation of Joker in recent media. It seems, however, that the movie is actually quite good, a psychological thriller with twists and turns and apparently gruesome murder shown on screen. The film recently won an award at the Venice Film Festival, and at TIFF, critics seem to agree. The Joker has controversial moments, though heavily sympathizing with the Fleck character even as he commits heinous crimes. When The Joker is released internationally, we'll see how the rest of the world reacts to Arthur Fleck. Another film shown at TIFF is The Goldfinch. The Goldfinch is based off a book of the same name. The film is about a young boy who, following the death of his mother after a terrorist attack, falls into a life of forgery and crime. The book is widely beloved, but the film is not so much. With big names such as Ansel Elgort, Finn Wolfhard, and Nicole Kidman, there was a great chance for success, but The Goldfinch is instead regarded as just boring, a waste of time, and bland. The movie follows its source material very closely, but sometimes that's not always what's best. Books and films are two different mediums, and things that might be great for the written word may not be great for the silver screen. And lastly, Jojo Rabbit was also shown at TIFF. Directed by Taika Waititi and with a slew of amazing actors such as Scarlett Johansson, Sam Rockwell, and Waititi himself, Jojo Rabbit has all the right ingredients to make a great movie. A satirical comedy about a young boy in Nazi Germany whose closest friend is an imaginary friend, Adolf Hitler. His worldviews are shifted when he finds a Jewish girl hiding in his attic. There's some mixed reviews regarding the film, as is anything, but especially considering the subject matter of the film. Some critics claim the film makes too much light of Nazis, making them seem bumbling idiots rather than the intimidating force that they were, and others say it's an apt way to show how ridiculous the ideology of Nazism is. These are, of course, the opinions of film critics who have only to watch movies as part of their job. Each of the aforementioned films are coming out before the end of the year, so head to the theater when they're out and you can be the judge. That's it from me. I'm Anastasia Scott.
Great segment, Anastasia. I'm really excited for the Burnt Orange Heresy.
You know what I'm really excited for? The first shameless plug of season 15. This week, check out the Real Deal podcast with its new host, Mackenzie Digg. Also, his show is back and better than ever. We've got Rental Breakdown with Logan Lewis.
Wow, so many great shows to watch here at The Real Deal.
You really are holding up to the name, shameless plug, huh?
It's gotta live up to its name somehow.
Live up to it? How did you know that Matthew is going to talk about it?
No, I mean, its name.
Yeah, that's what I said. Matthew's here to give us his review of It, Chapter 2. Take it away, Matthew.
Oh my gosh.
It Chapter 2, the highly anticipated sequel to 2017's It, is finally here. Set 27 years after the events of the first installment, the film follows the Losers Club as they reunite in Derry to fulfill their oath and finally put an end to the threat of Pennywise the Clown. Now, I was a huge fan of the first part and thought it was one of the best Stephen King adaptations in a long time, due to the dynamite performances from its young actors and sharp direction. Andy Muschietti returns again to direct, this time with a new, huge cast. So how does it compare to the high bar set by its predecessor? Well, I'm sad to say that for the most part, I walked away fairly disappointed. Clocking in at just under 3 hours, it is a long film. And where Chapter 1 succeeded in making almost every minute interesting, this one doesn't seem to know how to utilize its runtime. The first act is handled very clumsily, where each adult loser only gets a short introduction scene that quickly establishes their current lives in a fashion that felt super rushed. But once the gang gets back together, though, the film becomes immediately more enjoyable, with the banter between the newly reunited characters being both sweet and funny. But then this leads into the middle part of the film, where the pace comes to a dead stop with a sequence of very repetitive scenes that pretty much plays out the same beats, the same jump scares over and over again. As soon as I realized what was going on, I felt every single minute drag by, and it took away a lot of the thrills and surprise from each scene. And those scenes are mixed with flashback sequences with the young actors from the first film, but some of them have been digitally de-aged to make them look younger. It's a distracting and awkward creative decision that doesn't look right and is super creepy. I'll admit, CGI'd Finn Wolfhard unsettled me more than Pennywise ever does here. But thankfully, the third act picks up the pace by indulging on the weird, mystical elements of the book. It sort of feels more like a grown-up Scooby-Doo adventure than a horror film, but it works. And I found it simultaneously fun, thrilling, and emotionally satisfying. Everything I wish the first 2/3 were. With that said, the film is not a complete train wreck, and that is all thanks to the spectacular casting. Not only do the adult losers look like their younger counterparts, each of the adults have inhabited their verbal and physical mannerisms expertly and elevate the material that they're given. They're all great, especially James Ranzone's pitch-perfect portrayal as Eddie and the always wonderful Jessica Chastain as Beverly. But make no mistake, this is Bill Hader's film. He owns this. It helps that Richie has the best written character arc in the film, but Hader brings the perfect balance of comedy and nuance to the role that really pushes it ahead. And as a huge fan of his work since his SNL days, and of course now with his show Barry, it's so great to see Hader absolutely kill it in a huge blockbuster like this. And of course, I've got to give another shout out to another Bill Skarsgård, who is still a great and spooky Pennywise, although he receives significantly less screen time in comparison to the first one. There were also some surprises in this that weren't in the book, and while I won't spoil them here, I really enjoyed most of them. They gave a few characters some much needed emotional depth that I think really paid off in the end. I really wanted to love this one, but besides the stellar casting and a gleefully bonkers third act, the script and the awkward pacing throughout just left a lot to be desired. Although, if Muschietti follows his word and releases an edited 5-hour cut of both chapters combined, I'd be more than happy to give that a shot. I'm going to give It Chapter 2 2.5 Finn Wolfhards out of 5.
I guess you really weren't clowning around with that review, Matthew. Thanks for sharing.
And you make fun of me for my bad puns?
It's not really me making fun of you, it's just everyone in the control room.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ooh, let's put that in the contract. You can only have 5.5 puns per episode.
And half?
You heard me. Just like how you're going to hear Tiara spells in her amazing segment on the conclusion of Game of Thrones. Tiara?
Where do I even begin? Well, I guess I have to start at the beginning. In 2013, something happened and sort of broke pop culture at the time. The Red Wedding. And other Game of Thrones fans will know what this is. The show is over and the books have been out forever, so spoilers are coming. The Red Wedding was a huge, shocking event, and when people who had never read the book saw characters who were integral to the current storyline, Catelyn and Robb Stark, die, there was article after article after reaction video after reaction video, and Game of Thrones had effectively won my attention. So I started it. I finished the first 3 seasons in the time before season 4 aired, and by that time I was hooked. I met Maisie Williams, then Jason Momoa and Rory McCann. Like, Game of Thrones was such a huge part of my life. It feels odd kind of looking back at it now, knowing where it all ended. But as I was starting the books, and they do take forever to get through, I'm still reading the first one. Give me a break, they're huge. Plus, I have plenty of time to read them anyway. George? Anyway, around late season 4 and then through seasons 5, 6, and 7, I realized Game of Thrones kind of sucked now. And it seemed like each season there was less and less care taken with the characters and stories that meant so much to so many people. There was a small but vocal minority of people on the internet who sort of just had to deal with it and hated it. Comic Book Girl 19 and Ideas of Ice and Fire were some of my favorite voices of this part of the Song of Ice and Fire community. By the way, y'all didn't believe anyone when we said it was bad then, and then season 8 happened, and y'all were shocked when it was bad, and we were right the whole time. Anyway, Comic Book Girl 19 released a video after season 7 called Appreciating Game of Thrones While Accepting Its Flaws. And at the end of season 7, there were a lot of flaws. The writing was noticeably weaker, nobody really did anything, there was like press square to fast travel. Jon Snow and Dany just sort of fell in love, and one of her dragons died and no one cared. But they built up this crazy battle with the White Walkers. They had already brought Jon Snow back to life, plus R plus L equals J. So clearly that was all going somewhere, right? The last season of this mess can still be somewhat satisfying, right? No, because the storylines went nowhere, nothing happened, while far too much nonsense happened. The only person who got a good ending was Sansa, and I love Sansa, so I was happy in that respect, but she should have been the queen of all of Westeros, and her family should have been there for her coronation. I'm still upset. I guess this is less of a review or whatever, and more of a rumination of my thoughts on Game of Thrones ending. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything that hundreds of YouTube reviewers haven't said already, but it is sad to see it go, especially the way that it did, clinging to life support. All of the things that made Game of Thrones were fundamentally absent in the last final 3.5-ish seasons of the show. Technically, it was great. It looked beautiful. The music was gorgeous as always. The cast and crew worked their butts off for this show, and for Dumb and Dumber to just destroy it with quote unquote subverting expectations, or to do Star Wars or their show about if the Confederacy won or whatever is just heartbreaking. The end of Game of Thrones is bittersweet for me, and I'm sure for other people too. It was something that connected me to a community online. The female characters were outstanding, despite being clearly written by men. And I mean, come on, Sansa is the poster child for strength in the face of adversity, but it was so mishandled by its leaders that I also sort of don't mind that it's over, and that's the worst part about it. Like, I just remembered what they did to Daenerys, and I got frustrated and sad all over again. I know this has been long, and I could talk way longer about this, but for the sake of time, I won't. Just know that if Game of Thrones wins anything at the Emmys, it will feel just as undeserved as anything that happened in season 8 of the show. Okay, I'll stop. I guess there's some positivity at the end of all of this. It's forcing people to read books. Plus, we still have those to look forward to whenever George R.R. Martin decides to finish them. By the way, George, if you decide to kill off House Tyrell and put Bronn of the Blackwater as the head of Highgarden, we will just have a talk, George. That's it for me this week. I'm Tiara Spells, and I'm happy to be back at The Real Deal, and I'm not sure if I will ever be not bitter about Game of Thrones.
If the rest of this season's segments shape up like Tiara's, then I think we've got the best season yet ahead of us.
I know, I'm so proud of all of the segment producers, but now that they're all done, we've just gotta listen to ourselves blab on for a bit.
I'd rather do anything else.
Maybe you should watch our final break. Those are always great, so stay tuned.
Something happens to you when you leave this town. The farther away, the hazier it all gets. But me, I never left. I remember all of it.
There's been an assassination attempt on the president.
Mike Banning, you're being charged with the attempted murder of the President of the United States.
The president's top guardian angel has fallen.
Can't you see that I'm being set up?
Someone's party not knowing how to kiss. We could spy on my neighbor. She's a total nymphomaniac. She starts fires? No, she's a nymphomaniac. Someone who has sex on land and sea.
This is what happens when you don't respect women.
I respect women. My mom's my best.
We're in this weird stage of bringing back old movies and shows. While I'm tired of the lack of new content coming out, I'm very excited that one piece of old content has officially come back. Kristen Bell, my queen, brought Veronica Mars back for 8 episodes on Hulu. If you don't already know, Veronica Mars was originally released in 2004. The series lasted 3 seasons, and it followed a teenage girl solving all of the crimes in her town. Her dad was a private investigator, and she had all of the skills and access to be one as well, all while going through high school, navigating love, and dealing with bullies. Each season, Veronica solved one major crime on top of several other crimes. Season 1 was the murder of her best friend. Season 2 was a mysterious bus crash. Season 3 was a series of rapes on her college campus. And in the new season, she solves a series of bombings. And she solves the problem of her own happiness. While each season is a different crime, Veronica Mars stays true to who she is. She finds who is responsible for the crimes and fearlessly teaches them lessons, either by revenge or making sure the right things happen. She's sassy, courageous, stubborn, and independent. No matter what happens to her, she doesn't give up, and she makes sure it is known that she doesn't need anyone's help. These personality traits are a big reason that the series was revived. Kristen Bell said, quote, "I want her to exist for my daughters." Veronica Mars doesn't let others define her, and she fights hard to do what she believes is right. Kristen Bell wanted her daughters to see this. She wanted to show them a strong female character to inspire them. This character faces all of the obstacles that scare her most, and she never lets the world change her. In the new 8-episode season, she still holds all of her lovable qualities. She finds out more about herself and her relationships instead of just focusing on all the crime happening. I enjoyed getting to know the characters all over again. I think something that I admire most about the show is the character choices and the self-discovery that comes with it. The old series touched on these things a little, but it focused more heavily on the crimes. I feel like the new episodes really allow people to get to know Veronica and dive into her relationships and personal life a little more. Who is she really? What does she want? Is she happy? I think this is valuable not only to her daughters, but also to anyone else watching. The show has changed quite a bit though. While I enjoyed most of the new season, I must admit some things just felt wrong. There were certain characters that I just didn't feel had a great comeback. I also felt that Veronica lost some of her charm. Don't get me wrong, the show still made me laugh in response to all of the wit and sarcasm, but it also made me feel a lot more negative. I felt that the show had some unnecessary drama attached to it, and I wanted a happier ending. I guess they wanted to make it as realistic as possible though, and real life doesn't always have happy endings. Despite some of the negatives that came along with it, I loved the new season. I think Kristen Bell and the writers of the show were very smart to jump on the revival bandwagon. While I'm tired of seeing old things pop up everywhere, I think it's just a good thing that some shows that never quite got that proper closure get their proper closure, and Veronica Mars is one of those shows. If you've never seen the series, I strongly recommend watching the original series and then diving into the new stuff. There's a movie in between there somewhere. Maybe Veronica Mars can inspire you in the same ways Kristen hoped it would inspire her daughters. That's all for me this week. Parker?
That was great. Now I'm going to have to watch Veronica Mars.
You do.
So, true to myself, I want my first word this season to be a rant. It's something that's been bugging me all summer long, and it's only exacerbated by nobody talking about it. It's about Disney, specifically how much they own. As a backstory, way back in the simpler days of March 2019, Disney completed their buyout of Fox Studios. There was a lot of hubbub about it, but if you asked around, especially on campus, all we ever talked about was the future of our favorite franchises. People flocked to rejoice that the Marvel Cinematic Universe will finally be seeing mutants like the X-Men, but no one talked about what the implications of that buyout meant. Cue early August, where Fox, now under the command of Disney executives, canceled almost all of their ongoing projects in development. From what I could find, that was over 276 potential films. Sure, it's disappointing to see your favorite actor or director get their next project scrapped. And it's also easy to push it off because most of those films won't get made anyways, but that's not the problem. The problem is that almost all of those projects were helmed by someone new in the industry. The films that got scrapped are the new original ideas that fix one of Hollywood's oldest problems that we complain about all the time: the endless waves of sequels, spin-offs, and series. The people hurt most by this are the consumers and the little guys, people like us. Ask around the studio with countless people working on the real deal alone, and 9 times out of 10, they want to go into this industry or somewhere tangentially related. This is major news that isn't getting talked about enough from our peers. 36 years ago, in 1983, around 50 companies owned all of television and media in general. Today, there's 6. These are some of the wealthiest companies with the shadiest business practices. Remember those great memories you had in your small town where you'd go to the local cinema or drive-in theater? Those were great times. Keyword, they were. Thanks to policies like the ones from Disney, where every movie must be played for a month or 2 and almost all ticket sales go to said company, local mom and pop theaters with 1 or 2 screens cannot afford to stay open anymore. What does that mean for our future? When we're well into our careers, where everything we've worked on is owned, funded, and controlled by a company that regularly rakes in billions of dollars, how do you think your voice is going to be heard? We're 2 steps away from an Orwellian future where every piece of entertainment we consume is owned and doctored by a single conglomerate. I don't want to spoil the fun here at The Real Deal, especially on our first episode, but I firmly believe that this needs to be said. After all, we are an entertainment news show, so it is our job to get you thinking about all the entertainment that you consume and how it's made. especially since we are this industry's future and we have a say in this.
I couldn't agree more. And that wraps our first episode of season 15.
That's the end of this episode, but not the end of us. If you want more from The Real Deal, check out our website, Facebook, and Twitter for all things entertainment. I'm Parker Carlson.
And I'm Abby Perrey. We'll see you next time on The Real Deal.